What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Game Plan. It's NFL Week 8, and we're breaking down your best bets and DFS plays for NFL Week 8 with the man himself, professional sports bettor and DFS mind extraordinaire, John Statsational at Alesia from the Sharp app. What's up, John?
Not much, man. We ready to rock and roll. It's my birthday weekend, you know.
Oh,
so, yeah. So I got no plans other than to watch football. But
you're just watching football?
That's it, man. That's it.
Well,
I'm not like the, you know, it's like it's women now, and now the kids. It's turned into a month. Like used to be like maybe it's my birthday weekend. Now, especially women are like, oh, this is my birthday month. So now they want the entire month for the birthday. I barely celebrate my day, let alone the entire month.
No, I do the month for myself as well.
Oh, that is true. You got very excited when it's your birthday month.
Month's my family. Yeah, I tell them it's my birthday.
You're very similar to a woman.
Yes, I have those feminine traits, I'm sure, of wanting. You know what? Even though I say I want the full month of birthday celebrations, no one listens to me. So
yeah, I was going to say, it's not like that actually happens in your house.
No one listens to me. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, happy birthday, John.
I appreciate it.
All right, let's get into this breakdown, though. Big weekend. Win some money on your birthday. That's what you want to do. A little bets. Winning some winning bets. I started off with a win already.
I did as well.
Thursday night football. The Rams. Money line.
Yeah, I mean, that game, it got bet down late, too. You know, people were questioning it in the Discord. They were asking me about it. It was my best. I don't like to, like, throw that out there because I don't want people, like, just pushing the limits on the bet. I kind of like to keep it at a unit per game. But it was the best game or the best bet that I've seen all year in the NFL. I liked it quite a bit. So privately, I played a little bit heavier on it. But yeah, and that, you know, what a difference when you get those guys back on the field. I don't know what your opinion was of Puka coming into the game, but he certainly played a lot more than most of the experts thought.
Yeah, I didn't expect what we got out of Puka, and you know, it was a reminder that, especially in DFS, aside from everything, two things: a reminder that in both season long and DFS, but especially in your season long team, stop trying to get cute. You know, Puka's playing, you put him in the lineup. Period. I got a lot of people telling me I didn't play Puka, I left him on the bench, and that was your bad if you did that. Your stud is playing in the game, you play him. As far as DFS goes, yeah, we were kind of like, oh, I can't play Puka. You know, he's coming off the injury, and they didn't even know if he was going to play. But the reality is that caused his ownership to be like 12% in the big tournament, and he's the nuts play. And even if you think that he's coming off injury and you shouldn't play a guy, the ownership is already reflecting that. So now you have to do the opposite of what seems like the most logical, and instead say, I don't care what like is more likely to happen. What can happen?
Yeah, I mean, I always go into the situations where if they're on the field, I just assume they're 100%. Like that's it. I try to take the guesswork out. I played them in my season-long league. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when these guys hit the field, then you just have to assume they're 100%. There's some you know, some instances where we've talked about with quarterback, you know, when you kind of get the running quarterback who's a little banged up, they may not be worth as much just because they may not run as well. We'll see that. We got that coming up this week.
Jaden Daniels with that scenario tomorrow.
Yeah. So, and you've got, you know, not that Tua is necessarily a running quarterback, but so it really doesn't affect him as much points wise, but there's a guy that, you know, it'd be interesting to see just how often he's going to take off with the ball. I mean,
he will take off none.
Yeah, you wouldn't think they're certainly not going to intentionally run him,
and that's not his game anyway. It doesn't matter.
No, that's he's different. Yeah, you're right with the Daniels, you know, and a rib injury at that. I think that does impact his score, his DFS score,
yes,
quite a bit.
That's a theory I got from you as well. That we've talked about this, you know, over like 5 years now, constantly. Like the running quarterback off an injury, the team is just less likely to want to run him around because they just got hurt. They just tasted what that felt like, and they don't want to feel it again. They don't like that feeling.
It is what though why I think he's going to be one of the he's going to last because he's a very good thrower of the football. He's a good passer. And you've seen Lamar just become probably, you know, the best quarterback in the league right now because he's so good at throwing the ball, and obviously he's got the skill with his legs. But that's the difference. It's the quarterbacks. These guys, when you draft them, man, if they could throw the ball effectively as good as any other pocket passer with the run, then it becomes just elite. You're going to win a ton of games. I mean, look, like I said, what he's doing with Washington here, bringing them up to, you could take almost any team in the NFL and then elevate them to a playoff caliber team with the right quarterback. The tricky part is when you draft these quarterbacks and they don't have that high level of ability to throw the ball from the pocket, and they're not great throwers and they're not accurate. See Justin Fields. You kind of set yourself back for a few years at the position, because when you don't have that quarterback, you're just not going to be able to win. So it's very tricky. I think these kids are just getting better and better. The athletic type quarterbacks at throwing the ball. So but you have to be confident first in the player's ability to throw the ball. Because look, if Lamar Jackson hurts himself, his legs, he's still going to be an extremely effective quarterback. Right, that's the difference between him and some of these other quarterbacks who are relying on the running ability.
I think some of these other guys are actually going to come into play this week. These new hybrid can run but also can throw types. Jaden Daniels is the most extreme, and he's really great across the board. I mean, he's going to be a super stud. He is actually, I think, Dynasty QB1 right now. Like, people are taking him first overall ahead of even Josh Allen. A little overreaction, but okay. I get Josh Allen is one of those archetypes as well. And then of course, now I think Bo Nix and Drake May might fit that archetype. It's not quite just an exclusively running. Like, they got the legs, they can get it done, but they can throw. And so you could threaten with the pass, you could threaten with the run. And that is the thing that adds a dynamic component to your team. The problem with, let's say, Justin Fields is he can't really throw. Like, he could throw, but it's a weakness.
We're seeing it with Richardson as well, where you need the accuracy. So you need to be a quarterback first who can then run. I mean, that's basically what it goes back to Bill Walsh. I mean, when Bill Walsh was designing or pretty much the architect of that West Coast offense, he said one of the main things he looked for was a quarterback with great feet. And, he had Joe Montana. A lot of people don't think of Joe Montana as a running quarterback. They weren't really looking for quarterbacks who necessarily ran the ball, although when he had Steve Young at the time was one of the best running quarterbacks of all time. But he wanted a quarterback who had great feet and the ability to move around the pocket. You see, I mean, that was Aaron Rodgers in his prime, right? Aaron Rodgers was able to – he wasn't trying to run the ball, but he was able to move around in the pocket and take off for 10 yards when he needed to. Even guys like Alex Smith, who ran a West Coast-style offense. So you just need a quarterback. And then when you have the elite level of running ability, I mean, it's just adding a dynamic to some of these quarterbacks that's really, really difficult to stop. So if you could throw the ball with accuracy and be able to run it like a Daniels has shown so far early in his career, and certainly Lamar has for the last few years, really, really difficult to stop.
Jalen Hurts is that guy too.
I don't think Hurts is better of a thrower. Yeah, he's just not as good a quarterback. He's not as good a thrower of the ball as Lamar is. But
I think you're right. And Richardson is sort of the and I put Fields and Richardson in the other end of the spectrum of really. My issue with Fields is not that great of a runner either. In fairness, he just is a willing runner. He doesn't get as many yards as you'd like. You see, there are other of these types that just don't work out. But Richardson really, truly has shown that he can't throw, and he has arm strength, but he just does not have touch or accuracy or timing. And maybe he could learn it, but I find that it's hard to learn.
You don't typically listen. People want to say like Lamar was great coming out of he was not. He was not a great passer, but really quickly within like the second or third year, he became that quarterback. But I think he's more the exception than the rule. I think you've got if you don't see it from these guys early on, it's going to be within the first 2 years. I think it's going to be tough to learn, but we'll see. I really like Richardson just because I like the way he runs the ball. But again, we go back to we were talking about injuries, and that's why I said some of these quarterbacks. There's a reason I kind of got into the whole topic was these guys are going to get banged up. I mean, playing the style that they play are going to get hurt, which is why if I'm drafting, I'm really going to be hesitant on drafting those type of quarterbacks if I'm looking into the future, unless that's a quarterback, like I said, who can also sit back in the pocket and throw the ball without having to rely on his legs. Because a kid like Richardson, he's big and he takes a lot of hits. I mean, look, Andrew Luck was a big quarterback, obviously a very good pocket passer, but took a lot of hits and left the game early. So I think it's difficult as a president and GM of these teams, or making whoever's making the calls as far as drafting. But we're seeing a lot of exciting quarterbacks, and as such, I mean, the league has now, the scoring has gone up, which we were talking about how terrible the scoring was. Scoring's gone up
because
now.
it was I've said it was because the QB quality in the NFL had declined drastically. If there's one thing that's going to help scoring go up, it's going to be a draft class with now 4 and maybe a 5th quarterback on the way, and possibly even a 6th first-rounders, 6 first-round quarterbacks, where 4 of them are already looking really good. They don't look like busts. I think Caleb has shown, yeah, he's going to be that guy.
Yeah, he'll be good.
Daniels, that guy. And then I like Nix and May also. I think they're both showing everything you want out of a rookie right now. And we don't know what Penix is going to do. He's not even playing yet. And McCarthy, he's not even playing yet. This is the polar opposite from recent. We've seen 5 or 6 first-round quarterbacks were all failed, just like last year. So, or in the last couple of years. So it's not like this happens all the time. It's just the luck of variance. But you see the effect on the NFL. And of course, Sam Darnold being resurrected hasn't hurt either. And Aaron Rodgers' resurrection. So a lot of these teams that didn't have a quarterback now have somebody at least competent. And it's causing the games to be more competitive. And that is a theme, John, of this week's bets. So let's jump right into it. We've got Sharp App up on the screen. And fuck yeah. By the way, guys, I mean Pinnacle, Circa, every sports book that you want. If you are a market-based bettor, if you're just looking for discrepancies between the sharpest books and where you could find your local books, all of that is available right here on this screen. Here's Fliff, like minus 110, minus 125. You've got every sports book that you could really hope for right on the screen here. Tons and tons of choices. I don't even add them all in. There's so many more that I could be adding on to.
I think there's it's over 50 sports books in there.
Yeah, over 50, adding more all the time. So love the new real-time odds screen from Sharp App to check this stuff out. And these are changing in real time. You can actually just observe by the second the changes that sometimes happen on screen here with some of these plays. But you can see the difference. If I'm on Pinnacle and I'm taking the Eagles, I'm getting plus 100. Okay. Now, if I go somewhere else, I'm paying minus 110. Here, Hard Rock, and your local book there, you got plus 100. So that's where you want to be if you're taking that plus. But let's start it off here. Eagles at the Bengals, a game that I'm excited for this week. One of the games that really has, in my opinion, some game stack potential for DFS, a little pop to the upside potential. I think the total here is a little bit low at 48 points. That might have moved. It was at 40. Yeah, it's at 47 on Circa. 48. Well, here's another thing, a great example of why having an odds screen is important. You're 48 minus 110 at BetMGM. Circa's at 47. So this is a significant difference for the same odds. So let's start with this game. The Eagles plus 2.5, total 47, 48, depending on where you go. How do you see this one going down?
Well, like I said, I mean, 2.5 on the spread. Did you talk about the total at all?
Yeah, total is 48 at MGM, but 47 at Circa, 47.5 at DraftKings. So depending on what sports book you go to, you're getting the exact same minus 110, but there's a 1-point discrepancy looking across these books. Let's see where Pinnacle is. Pinnacle's at the higher side at 48.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. That 2.5 line, I always have to point it out. That's that teaser line that we like to kind of tease it up to, if we can get that 1.5 to 2.5. I think right. Yeah, some of the books are actually 1.5 on this game. Believe it or not. I don't know if you have those books up on your.
I'm looking. The ones that I have are yeah. I'm not really seeing it. I'm seeing Profit X sort of have crazy odds for -2.
Yeah, Bodog has 1.5 actually on the game, but at the 2.5, that's usually a good number that we like to kind of tease up.
I'll add Bodog in there.
Yeah, Bodog, but it's of course it's going to be juiced to get that 1.5. You got to pay -135 for it, but at the 2.5, -105, I really don't love the game necessarily from a side here, but I do like it. I already took it actually because I took some teasers with the +2.5 on the Rams on Thursday night, and I do have the Eagles as the second half of that leg. So I do have that bet kind of pending right now. Yeah, so I took it Rams. I mean, I took straight bets on the. I just love the Rams on Thursday night, but this game I don't have as strong a feel for the side. I do think this game. I kind of like it to the over, and I think it's a game. I don't know if it's sneaky. Now that when I looked at it, I don't think there's a ton of great games DFS wise, but I think it's a game that is one of the higher totals on the board. I do think I lean to the over on this game. Kind of like the over a bit. Don't really love either one of these defenses. So that's the side I like a little bit more. I like this game to get into the 50s. And I think it becomes again, maybe not a sneaky, but a pretty good DFS game.
Yeah, I prefer the over in this one as opposed to trying to figure out which of these teams is going to win. I think it's a close game, close matchup. Tough to say. Bengals have been disappointing early in the season, but they usually turn around. That's a pattern with the Bengals. Eagles, as you always say, kind of mid. Although I want to give the Eagles credit. Their defenses looked a little better as the season's worn on, and they're kind of learning this new defense that they've put in place in Philadelphia. Yeah, I like the over here. As far as DFS plays, there are chock full of them. I think Jamar Chase might be the best wide receiver just from a raw projection standpoint on the slate. I really like him. T. Higgins come up with a Q tag late today. So there may be a situation here where we can, Yoshivas, a little part of those Burrow stacks. And I just like building around this game. I don't mind having, I don't mind having, Hurts with AJ Brown and Chase or something like that. Some of the combination like that. I don't mind like a Burrow double stacks, bring back of Saquon Barkley and that kind of thing. So this is a game I want to build around for that place to the over scenario. And much more so if T. Higgins is out and we get Yoshivas WR2 for 3,600 on DraftKings, that's going to be something I'm really excited to play as well this week. All right, let's take a look at this next game here. I'm really curious as to which side you're going to be on this one. Ravens at the Browns. Browns +7, or as much as +8 or 9, depending on what book you go to. The Browns lines are crazy. If you're looking on screen here, I can see Bodog +7. Bet Parks at +8.5 out in Philadelphia, right? You can get +9 on Pinnacle. So the numbers are all over. 9.5 on Fanatics, 9.5 on FanDuel. I like the 9.5 plus look at the discrepancy. +7, +9.5. That's crazy. You got to be.
Yeah, you got to look at the juice on.
It's a little juiced on FanDuel, yeah, but not that much.
Yeah, FanDuel's -122 if you want to get the +9.5.
Where's DraftKings? DraftKings is +8. Yeah, I'd rather get the 9.5 for the extra 15 cents.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, and I kind of like I like the Browns here in this one.
I knew you were going for the Browns.
Yeah, a lot of
times
I take the big dog. I do like the Browns. If you're looking for those good teasers, though, the teaser side of this, of course, is Baltimore tease down from the 8.5 if you get it sub-3 down to 2.5. So that's the teaser side of this game. But I'm sticking away from that, and I like the Browns to. I think the Browns are going to be better here with Winston.
Winston is an automatic upgrade.
Definitely an upgrade. And this is a defense in Baltimore that they have not been good. I mean, this is a defense you want to target in DFS. Now, to their credit, or however you want to word it, they've played well in most of their games for like 3 quarters and then just been atrocious in the fourth. And they've been winning a lot of those games and kind of let teams come back. You saw it in that Monday night game. I mean, Baker Mayfield was very average going into the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden scores like 37 points. So, and they've done that within the Dallas game. They lost the game at home to the Raiders late because of that. So I just don't like that trend. They have not been able to close games out. And with a quarterback, I mean, Winston's the perfect quarterback in a situation to where they're down double, 2 touchdowns, double digits, to just sling the ball all over the field against a defense that plays soft in those situations and put up a ton of points. So I think Cleveland, maybe they get it on the back door and get this game inside the 8.5. But I do like Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't think I would lay 9 or any kind of number like that on the Ravens here, especially with the mystery quarterback coming in. People don't really understand how this Browns offense is going to look. My guess is the Browns offense is going to look much, much better under Winston. and maybe, dare I say, good. I don't know if I can get to the point of saying it's going to look good, but I do like Winston. I like Winston's stacks. I think the Browns wide receiver group are all undervalued. This is a team that showed last year when Flacco came in that they are willing to sling it with the backup quarterback to the tune of 50. They're YOLOing it. They'll let the backup throw 50 times in a game. They were letting Winston throw a lot too. Watson throw a lot too, but they'll throw a ton in this kind of matchup. So this is a great spot for DFS between Njoku, Tillman, who got 12 targets last week, Jerry Jeudy, who everybody forgot who that even is. I think Marlon Humphrey is doubtful, probably not going to play this week anyway. Not going to take him out. And I don't like Elijah Moore as much as the other guys, but it's really Njoku, Tillman, and Jeudy for me. I'm playing Jameis Winston. I am stacking him with two of those guys and YOLO, right? I think if he comes out and pulls a Flacco, I want to be early on that train, not late. Everybody jump on it next week. We get on this week in a great matchup, exactly as you said. Baltimore's been allowing yardage, even late. I don't care when it comes. On the Ravens side of, yeah, Lamar Jackson will be popular. Lamar Jackson only tends to produce in games that are competitive. Will this be a competitive game? Yeah, it might be. And, you got Derrick Henry up there, super low owned. So a lot of ways to attack the Ravens side of it. Weirdly, the best sort of combination, I think, with Lamar is actually Mark Andrews, which is really just weird because he's been pretty crap. But I did a little study of how the season has gone, and no other stack with Lamar guy has gotten really any momentum at all, or has been worth stacking with him pretty much all season outside of maybe one game from Flowers. So I like that situation. Let's look at the game total here, 45.5. Any thoughts on that number?
Yeah, I mean, I like the game. I like it to the over as well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm with you on it. I think you're on the Browns side and maybe on the over side. Just the Browns being a little more, having more life in their offense here than what would be expected is how I would play it. All right, John, next up, we got the Titans at the Lions. Lions are 11.5-point home favorites. Gets as much as 13 on ESPN there. 12.5 on FanDuel. So 11 to 13.5. It's, again, fascinating to see these discrepancies when you finally see all the sports books together. But the Lions are heavy favorites. Titans, I'm not even sure who they're rolling out at QB. I don't know if Will Levis has been ruled out. As a matter of fact, I want to take a look. He's got that Q tag. So, yeah, it's not really clear who's going to play between him and Mason Rudolph. I don't know. I think they're both terrible. And I actually think the Lions can cover this number. But, John, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not laying 11.5 in the NFL these days. I mean, the Lions coming off a huge win last week, against Minnesota. I think they could be in here for a little bit of a letdown against Tennessee, and obviously a team that's just been awful coming into this game. They've just been getting blown out as well, have not been able to even keep games close over the last couple. So I like that as a bounce back. I like teams coming off a couple of big losses in a row against a team that is coming off a big kind of emotional win against Minnesota. That they needed that game to try to get themselves in position to win the division. You saw Minnesota on Thursday night. Now they played decently there offensively, but a little bit of a hangover coming off that game. A lot of my theory behind liking the Rams, or part of it, was Minnesota coming off the Detroit game. So I have to use that same logic here. This is clearly a team that they may take a little bit lightly, look past a little bit coming off that win that they had last week. I think Tennessee sneaks up on them, not necessarily wins this game, but keeps it a little closer maybe than we expect.
There's no way I'm betting on Tennessee. I don't care how many points I'm getting. They stink.
They do stink.
Yeah, I think this is a stay away on this. No, I'm not touching that. I wouldn't even tease them up. I wouldn't touch it. I think if you want to tease, maybe the Lion side for a teaser, like add that thing in, take off 6.5 there and get them within a touchdown. It's just the Titans are just so bad. They're worse with Levis though. I think Mason Rudolph might make them less terrible offensively, because there's nothing worse than Will Levis.
No, it's pretty bad.
except maybe Bryce Young. There's no DFS pieces from this game, by the way. I have no interest in anyone on either side of that one. Colts at the Texans. The Texans at home, 4.5-point favorites. These two teams tend to play high-scoring games. They do. Even the first game in the series, fairly high-scoring. This one's got a 45.5-point total attached to it. And, of course, you've got, the Texans coming in as, less than a touchdown favorites here. We haven't seen a whole lot out of Anthony Richardson to be excited about outside of week 1 when they played the Texans and he had a good game. So maybe he can only play against the Texans because I'm pretty sure it was the Texans game last year that he had his good. He only played a couple games and one of them was the Texans. So it seems like he's got their number. I don't know if that's a real thing or just some random variance, but that is what goes on. John, you got a side on this one?
Yeah, not one that I'm necessarily interested in betting. I would lean on the side of Indianapolis, though. I mean, that's kind of how the market is, the indication that we're getting from the market. So if you're just kind of reading the charts here, the money's been coming in, the sharp money that is. Well, we don't have it on the sharp report, but the way I'm reading it is sharper money's on the Colts side of this game. We've seen this line come down. It was 6.5. Now you're looking on your screen there, 4.5 at some of these outs. So
it's moving.
Yeah, it has been moving, and I think if you like the Colts, I think you can get it at 5 over at BetMGM. From what I'm seeing, there are some outs that you can get decent.
Which side are you leaning? Are you leaning the Colts? I'm trying to find
I'm leaning on the Colts.
Fanatics minus 3.5, thinking that might not be the.
Well, the minus 3.5 is probably juiced.
It's minus 130.
I've got every book juiced up, so I gotta scroll through mine, but
it's juiced to minus 130. But yeah, all right, The minus 4s are pretty even money. Let's see. I mean, it's wild the spread here of what you can get, but let me see if I can find a minus 4 not juiced. You got the minus. This would be my favorite, minus 3.5, minus 130 on Fanatics. I'm not even seeing a 4. It's a 4.5 on Hard Rock, your local book, for minus 110, which is also not the worst thing in the world. That's probably the other way to go. I'd rather have that than the 5.
Yeah, the 4.5 minus 110 is, I think, the best you can find. I don't see any 4s.
I like the Texan side of this one.
The Texans look good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But
Colts defense is bad. The Texans are about to style out there, like have a little offensive explosion here.
I do like Houston. I like to bring up my one and done pool. I was going with I'm doing Stroud stacks this week because that does look like a pretty good matchup for him. But the total, it's still 45.5. It's like right around the average of the league. So I was kind of expecting this total to be higher.
No, because they don't know if the Colts can generate offense. So it's just too risky with Richardson. He's just looked inept. Now, that being said, the return of Jonathan Taylor this weekend, and maybe that will help the whole Colts offense kind of look a lot better. They could just lean heavy on Jonathan Taylor. They haven't been able to do that with Trey Sermon and freaking whatever other garbage they have there. So with Taylor back, that's going to be a big boon for that offense. Flip side on the Texans, man, at some point we got to start acknowledging that Mixon is like the man on this team for some reason. He's been looking amazing. The Texans almost always seem to put somebody with 25 or more fantasy points, sometimes 2 people. This goes back to last year where you'd see Collins or Tank Dell, one or the other popping almost every single week. They didn't have a running back to worry about as much last year. And now it seems like it's either Mixon or, it was Collins earlier. We haven't really seen it out of Dell or Diggs yet where they get these smash games, but with no Collins out there, I'm still loading up on Tank Dell. I'm still loading up on a little bit of Diggs. And I think that maybe Mixon will get it done again this week. So I like all those spots from a DFS angle. And again, as far as the game goes, I don't trust the Colts to be competent, but I do think that maybe the return of Jonathan Taylor keeps them in. It could help keep them in a game like this. So I would be loath to actually place a bet here on the Texans. I'm skipping this because I can't trust the Colts, but I think they're probably the sharper side. You don't have a play on this one, do you?
No, it's just kind of a lean there with Indianapolis.
Yeah, I get it. All right. Next up, we got the Packers at the Jaguars. Packers minus 4.5 in this one, with the game total set at 49.5. That's a high total, higher than I was expecting. Like this game doesn't really seem that different to me than some of these other ones, but there it is, 49-pointer. Looks like it could be competitive. That's interesting. I'm assuming that the good play from Jacksonville last week has something to do with this, or they look like they're playing a little more competently the last few weeks. So there's that. Obviously, the Packers. If we look at your power ranking sheet, and I do keep these up on screen here, John. The Packers are projected, according to the sheet, of passing for 307 yards. That's one of the higher passing yardage totals you're going to see on this Statsational power rankings sheet, which I love and use very aggressively for my DFS play, available on the Sharp app, of course. But that's part and parcel of just the Jaguars defense having been really, really bad this year, and a place you want to go for fantasy production. Flip side for me is I found it difficult to sort of figure out who to stack Jordan Love with. It makes me not want to play him as much. It's just like too many. There's 4 wide receivers and a tight end on that team that all get looks, and that is just a recipe for spreading the football around and maybe going naked at QB or something like that. Jaguar side, really, I'm just surprised that it's this close. I don't know, man. It doesn't really speak to me. I think Jaguars kind of suck. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, listen, firstly though, from a DFS standpoint, Jacksonville's been great in as far as targeting in DFS. So whenever you see Jacksonville, you want to take a look at that matchup.
Whoever's playing against them, yeah,
you want against it, but they're also pretty good, like just stacking the entire game, because defensively they're terrible, but they have the ability to maybe put some points up and score as well. So I like this game to go over. I mean, man, I don't see how Jacksonville is able to win this game. And if I don't think they could win it, I've got to like Green Bay to kind of cover the line here and cover the 4, which you're going to see really at most books. I think FanDuel's got 3.5 at -115, which I would probably take over the 4 -110. But yeah, I think Green Bay is the play. I think Jacksonville still has too many problems to be able to, on defense, to be able to really slow down and stop the Packer offense. I think Green Bay winds up winning this game. I think Green Bay is one of the better teams right now in the league. So I'll take Green Bay -4.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Let's move on. Cardinals at the Dolphins. Return of Tua. Dolphins players mispriced everywhere. Priced for Snoop Huntley on all the DFS sites. The Dolphins offense is going to be the most popular group of players on the slate this week. Cardinals are +3.5 to +4.5, depending on the sports book that you're looking at right now. +4 seems to be like the circa, so we'll go with them as the sports book of truth, so to speak. So Cardinals +4 on the road at Miami. The return of Tua. Cardinals have been up and down. They've looked good at times. They've looked kind of less good at times. So do you think Miami can cover this? Tua coming off that injury? Think they just kind of take this one down?
I like Arizona. With Tua coming back, I think I'll take the point. I'll take the +4. You could get 4.5 at some books as well. I like that side of this game. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get Tua back acclimated, and I don't know if he ever will get back to maybe where he was with this offense. So I think there's a lot of talk. Obviously, he's been dealing with the media asking him questions, and then I think just privately, everyone in his life kind of asking about the head injury and how do you feel comfortable playing. I think that's going to weigh a little bit here. I don't think he could play as aggressive. Like you said earlier, we won't see him run with the ball at all. I think he kind of is going to opt to maybe throw the ball away in situations where he may have in the past decided to run with it. We'll see. I have a hard time thinking that this is not going to affect them after having this happen to him a couple of times. So I like Arizona. Keep this game close. And I don't think the Miami. I like the game actually to go under. I think we're going to see less scoring in this game than we really think. I think look for this. It's not going to be, the Miami offense won't be as bad as it was, but I don't think this offense just all of a sudden turns the lights on and just starts, kind of turning out points the way they were doing it maybe at stretches last season. I think I'd be cautious on this game, and I'd look more towards the under, and I like Arizona.
So with that attitude in place, let me. This is the game with the most chalky players. So let me pose a DFS question to you. This is the chalkiest game, right? They left Tyreek Hill priced at $7K, where he should be 8,600 or 8,800. They left Waddle at 5,200, where he probably should be around 6,200. So the wide receivers on this day, and Devon Achane will be 7,200 as soon as next week, or 7K, and he's at 6,200. So you're getting a lot of value on the Miami wide receivers. I believe that Tyreek Hill will be over 50% owned in high dollar or any sort of single entry style contest this week, over 50%. Are you fading that? Like you just said, you kind of think that Miami this game might play to the under, maybe a little more defense. You're a little worried. I'm less concerned about Tua in terms of, like, I think he comes back and he's exactly the same as before, but psychologically there could be some effects there. There won't be physical effects, but psychologically there could be. I hope he puts on the Guardian helmet. I really, really am going to tune in and hope that they're doing that, but I have a feeling he won't.
No, he said he doesn't want it.
Yeah, see, there he is. So come on to it. Just why? But anyway, so the fact that he's not putting it on tells you even more that he's like, I don't give a fuck and I'm fine. So with that being said, we have a quote from Tyreek Hill saying, put me in your lineup this week for fantasy football people. I like that, man. That works for me. I'm like, okay, I listen. He tells me, put me in his lineup. I'm like, okay, I'll put you in. Are you fading that or at all? How do you feel about the chalk?
I mean, in a single entry, yeah, for sure. It's a fade. So if I'm playing single entry, I'm just not playing it. I think the game goes under. So I mean, he could still score a ton of points, but yeah, there's no chance I'm playing him if I'm playing in some single entry contest.
Yeah, because he'll be 50% owned in that contest.
Yeah,
so you're just not gonna play.
No, I mean, in 150 build, you got to have him in there.
But for your SEs, you're gonna say, you know what? Let other people play him. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna stack. I'm gonna find a game that I could stack heavily, maybe that Green Bay game, something like that, and hope that I could, in a single entry, I want to stack the crap out of one game and look for that game to pop. And I just don't like this game. And if I can get a chance, he's going to score. I'm not saying he's not, but if he gets you 14, and I can catch a game that just goes off and scores 60 plus points, then he may not be a factor.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Jets at the Patriots. The Patriots, Jets 6.5, 7 points, depending on where you're looking. Favorite. Patriots coming in with Drake May. They got the new quarterback in there. He's looked pretty good the last couple games. Both games look pretty good. A lot of targets to Derrick Henry. This one has a team total or a game total set at 41, so fairly low. The Jets are in as much win of a situation as any team could ever possibly be. Two massive disappointing losses in a row. Brutal losses, too close, and just heartbreakers in a row. Devontae Adams talks to the team, gasses them up. It's now or never. And now they get an opponent who is very beatable and should be vulnerable to a quality defense like what the Jets have. Also, an opponent that doesn't really have a great running back to be scared of. So with all that being said, 41-point total. Again, 7-point spread. Do you have a side here?
Yeah, I like the Jets. I think it's time to start buying the Jets. For sure. I was very bearish Jets coming into the season. I've got unders on their win total. I've mentioned it a million times. Look, there's a certain amount of time that needs to go by for a veteran quarterback when they move to another team before they really start to click. And basically that's what you had here with Rodgers. You never really got a chance to play with this team last year. But I think we're buying the Jets at a low. And we're still in this game. They're still laying the 7. I don't think a lot of people are going to like it with the Jets. They seem like a turmoil. This is a better team than the record shows. Now, you talk about May. He's shown promise. I think he's going to struggle against this defense. I think the Jets hold them down. We will see a much better Jet offense. Look, that game was fluky too last week. I mean, Jets were kind of in control of that game. They lose the lead, and then they get that, the Garrett Wilson interception, which was just insanity. I mean, the ball could not have been thrown any better. And not only is it not a catch, it's an interception for basically a touchdown. They get the ball down to the 1 yard line, and that changed the entire complexity, the whole complexion of the game. So I feel like we are buying. This is a perfect time to start buying the Jets. I think it starts with this game. They dominated this team the last time out. Different quarterback, but I think they'll dominate them again. I'll lay the 7 here with the Jets.
I love it. I love it. Obviously, Breece Hall is going to be the chalk this week, but any interest? I can't really bring myself around too much. I want to keep playing Davante Adams until he has his smash game with Rodgers, and I'm sure it's coming. Is it going to be this week? I don't know.
I don't know how much more Rodgers can deal with Wilson. I mean, Wilson's looked terrible all season. Now I know they were double teaming him and this and that coming off that, we know Rodgers can be a little temperamental. That interception's got to be eating at him, and he's got his boy there now. He's got Adams, the game kind of went the way. Look, if you watch that game and don't think the Jets offense looked pretty good last week, then you didn't know what you were watching. That's a great defense there with Pittsburgh. And it was just, that fluky play. That offense changes with Adams. And it went the way I thought it would, in the fact that maybe they didn't use Adams as much. They're going to ease him into the program here and kind of use them. They used them last week as a bit of a decoy. I think more and more they're going to switch to where, and I think that switch happens this week. I think you see a lot of Davante Adams this week.
Yeah, and he will be unowned. So, I mean, if you want to talk about a low-owned potential stud that no one's on, that is Davante Adams this week. All right. Next up, we got the Falcons at the Bucks. Falcons are on the road here, 1.5 point road favorites. Really close spread considering the Bucks lost so many of their wide receivers and are kind of coming in with a skeleton crew. 46-point total installed on this one. You've got running backs galore here with Rachaad White and like the whole mystery of the Bucks running back situation. What will they do? Will they get more targets now that the wide receivers are gone? There are some cheap Bucks players as well that open things up. This is one of the teams where you have a couple of cheap names like Jalen McMillan, all that coming out there. And then, of course, on the flip side, the Falcons are a pretty predictable team with just really 3 pieces that tend to get most of the work. Bijan, London, and then a little bit of Mooney, and then a little bit of Algier. No one else really pops up at all for this team. So really interesting dynamic there from a DFS standpoint. But as far as the bets go, I'm a little surprised that it's this close of a matchup considering kind of wounded animal status of the Bucks missing their wide receivers. Do you see a play here?
Yeah, I think this is a tough one. I mean, look, this game was going to be 3. Tampa was going to be favored by 3. So you've got like a 4.5 to 5 point move on the line, which is tremendous for not losing your quarterback. That's a big line move. Now, the thing is, you lost 2 elite wide receivers, and it really changes the dynamic of this team. I have a hard time handicapping that for this reason. If you lose one of them, I could get a good feel. Losing both of those guys, I just don't know how much it's going to affect the offense. I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, I think you saw, Kate Otten was kind of a big deal last week in much of that game. So I assume they're going to lean on him a bit. I just don't know from a handicapping standpoint just what to expect from this game. I'll be honest with you, 5-point swing for 2 wide receivers seems like a lot. So I would kind of almost lean towards Tampa, but I'm just going to stay away from this game because I just don't have a good I usually have a good idea of how many points maybe a quarterback to their backup is worth. This one's a tricky one to lose both wide receivers. You just don't see it often, and to lose 2 wide receivers of that caliber as well. So I don't know. I'm not confident in how it's going to change the look of this Bucks team, which, quite frankly, I thought this Bucks team was going to be they were one of the best teams in the NFC. And it's kind of a shame to see that happen to him.
Baker has been looking so good. I've been calling Baker beast mode this year. He's been looking so good that maybe he can get over it and produce with McMillan and Otten. Maybe it doesn't affect the team all that much at all. It's within the realm of shit that can happen. Unfortunately, the running back situation is just so sketchy on the Bucs right now. But I don't know. Did Rachaad White get the job back last week and he could catch a pass? Like, he's the best pass catcher of that group, and they're going to need somebody to catch a pass. So, no one's playing Rachaad White this week. No one. That could be an interesting, like, DPP contrarian situation. I do like the cheap Bucs wide receivers. I'll have a ton of them, and I love Kate Otten. So, yeah, there are definitely spots to play in this matchup here from a DFS angle. And I agree with you. It's a tough one to bet on. It's a tough one to bet on. I would lean. I don't know. I really don't have a strong take there. I would probably tease up the score of the Bucs. I would probably consider the Bucs in my teaser this week as one of the potential teaser plays. All right, John. Before we move on, we have completed the early games, so I want to do a little Proptimizer segment here. So, of course, what you're seeing on screen is the live odds screen from Sharp App. And I want to jump over to the Sharp App Proptimizer here before we jump to the afternoon games and see if we can identify a couple bets and also show you this awesome tool. Guys, if you want to check out Sharp App, of course, we've got our specific Proptimizers for not just sportsbook bets against the book, but Prize Picks, Underdog, DraftKings Pick 6, Fliff, Hot Streak, Parlay, Probably No Big, and Sleeper. So the Proptimizer has expanded. And there's more of that. Promo code DFSA25 gets you 25% off a Sharp App subscription, where, John, you're giving out your favorite props and parlays as well right off of this Proptimizer tool. But a couple spots here that might be of interest. Like, how about Drake May under 211 passing yards? He's been over that number, but
our projection has him pretty low. I mean, our projection has it 176. Trying to see where I've got it, and I'm sure I'm under that as well, under his number. Yeah, I mean, I've got real low passing yardage numbers here. So yeah, I would kind of lean towards that under. He has
take a look at the other markets, by the way, just if you wanted a little more strength to that position. BetMGM has this at the 211 under is BetMGM, but if you go to Fanatics or ESPN has it at 199, Fanatics 205. So definitely some no vig at 205 as well. So there's definitely a lean here on other sharper sports books to the under. Like FanDuel's the sharpest right now, and they're at 203. So I think if you have access to a 211 book, that would be pretty good potential spot for an under. I think May gets a lot of it done with his legs anyway, so that could be really interesting.
Yeah, against this Jet defense, I kind of like that number, the under 211.5.
Yeah, this is how this is the Proptimizer tool, and you're gonna let's see here. You got rushing yards. See, I don't like this kind of prop for a quarterback, the over rushing yards, so I'd ignore that one. Let's see what other type of prop do we really like. Yeah, Josh Allen pushing towards the under. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Passing yards under.
Yeah.
That's
projected for just 200.
That's a tricky one against Seattle, team that can give up some points. Yeah, that's our projection there. The way I use this, I mean, I think I've mentioned it before, but I mean, the way I use it is just I go with my own props, and I don't look at every single prop. I don't do yardage. I'm more of I like receptions. I like the pass completions and things like that. Things that I could singularly count, because I just find it easier to project those. That's my thing. But I'll do my own projections. If you're not doing your own projections, maybe you've got some projections that you like the DFS Army projections or something like that.
Well, the Sharp App projection is great.
Or what I do is I like to then compare them to the Sharp App. Yeah. So I like to see where I agree with the Sharp App, and then those are the plays that I give out in the Discord, and it's obviously done extremely well. These props. So if there's some sort of a model that you like, and then you want to compare it to the Sharp App, and then look for the best price at the Sharp App, that's been the most successful thing for me in my prop betting.
I like it. Yeah. So the Proptimizer tool is part of the Pro and Pro Plus plans at Sharp App. The Pro plan is, Proptimizer and live odds screen and of course all the stuff we have in the app, the Sharp Report, everything else. So you can get either one of these currently for 25% off. If you want to check out the Sharp App, DFSA20 is the promo code, and you will lock in at that price forever. These tools are ever expanding, ever improving, and ever, just getting better and being added more. We've got new tools coming all the time, alerts and things like that. So make sure to check that out. And there'll be a lot more here as well on the odds screen, where we're getting line movement charts and a whole bunch of other trend-based data that we're going to be able to add in here as well. So stay tuned for all of that. And if you guys are Sharp App subscribers already, just know more is constantly on the way. That's how we do it. All right, back to it. Afternoon slate. Starting at 4, starting with the Saints at the Chargers. Now, this game has a lot going on here. The Rattlesnake going to be the quarterback for the Saints once again. Not very good of a player. Saints are +7 here. The game total is set at 41, so a low total. Chargers kind of been playing a lot of defense, been playing a run-heavy game plan so far to start the season. How do you see this one going down with that 7-point line?
Yeah, I really like the Saints here, +7. Too many points for a team like the Chargers. Like you said, they are grinded out, run the ball. Listen, Herbert had a lot of passes, though, last week. We had that over on the Monday night game. But I think they go right back to a team that I don't think they're going to respect the fact that of them putting points, since Carr went down, they really just have not been able to put points on the board. So I think the Chargers kind of dictate the pace in a lot of the games that they play. And I think that'll feed right into getting the +7. So I think if this game stays low scoring, I think it stays under the 41. And if it stays low scoring, it becomes a lot more difficult for a big favorite to cover that game. So I like the +7. If we could get the Saints up into double digits, I think they cover this game and keep it within 7 points.
Yeah, I like the call. One note on the Saints team that I think will actually potentially make a difference compared to the last couple of weeks is the return of Taysom Hill actually really adds a dimension to the Saints offense, especially around in the red zone, where the Rattlesnake is likely to throw an interception or make a mistake because he's just, a young quarterback that gets nervous or in the red zone. That's what happens with rookies. Like, they can't throw for touchdowns. It's difficult. Well, you bring in Taysom Hill. He's been getting touchdowns from the QB position on the Saints team for the last 10 years. So he knows what he's doing. He's got a million plays in the playbook for him, not to throw for a touchdown, to run for a touchdown. So I think Taysom Hill really changes one of the dimensions of this team and does make the Saints a little bit more competitive than they might be with just how they were last week, with just the Rattler there to stink it up in those kind of situations. So yeah, give me Taysom Hill as a difference maker in this situation. I don't really like anything else on offense for either of these two teams. Weirdly, I think, Ladd McConkey is kind of the second highest projected owned wide receiver on this slate. He didn't stand out to me as somebody that I need to target. It certainly didn't stand out to me as somebody I want to target as the chalk. But, I've got to pay more attention when I see high ownership on a player name. I'm like, hey, what am I missing? Also, so it's noteworthy that Ladd McConkey is very, very popular, as is J.K. Dobbins, much more popular than I think he should be. How do you feel about J.K. Dobbins in this one?
Yeah, I mean, look, we typically like, it's kind of the point spread and total that I don't really mind taking a running back on. Let me look quick at where I've got my projections on that one. I've actually got I've got him rated really high here this week, Dobbins, on my numbers. So I could get behind Dobbins much more so than McConkey.
Let's see here. Chargers 135 rushing yards. So yeah, pretty good. All right. Next up, the Bills at the Seahawks. The Seahawks coming in as 3.5-point home underdogs in this matchup with and sometimes 3, sometimes actually looks like more 3 than 3.5. I'm going to give you. And then this one carries a mid team total of 45.5 points. John, is there a side on this one that you like? Bills on the road, -3.
I would not bet the Bills on the road. I don't love either side, but I mean, if I had to take one side over the other, it would be Seattle plus the points. What I do like is the under on this game, though, and the under has been getting hit. We've got sharp money on the under. We've got that
Down the sharp report
on the beta. Yeah, they're on the sharp report, the under, and then that was at 47. We continually are seeing this under get bet down. Circa's got it in now. It has it at 45. You know, when we talk about one of the sharper sports books, Circa being one of the sharpest books is giving you the best price right now on the over. So I really think this game will be low scoring, and I think it's something to take note in DFS, because I think a lot of people are going to like this game. You know, my numbers are kind of showing that we should get some points in this game, but the market is telling us otherwise. So I'd be a little bit cautious maybe when it comes to this game. I kind of I like the game under as well.
Interesting. I'm glad that you brought up the sharp report, though. I just wanted to kind of put this tool up on screen. The sharp report is, if you like beating closing lines, I mean, look at what's going on. Beating the closing line is one of the goals of most sports bettors. Like, if you could just always beat the closing line, you're going to be looking pretty good. If you take a look at when these some of these spots are posted by the sharps, and they're getting them, like Detroit minus 7.5, it's minus 10 now. Steelers minus 4.5, it's minus 6 now. Seattle, this game, Seattle under 47, it's at 46 now. Carolina hasn't moved yet, over 41.5. If you want to grab one before it moves, we haven't gotten to that game, but over on Carolina, and you can see here Buffalo minus 2.5, it's minus 3 now. So, you know, if you like beating closing lines, the sharp report on sharp half is it's for me, it's the most powerful tool I've ever seen. A big part of what all of these tools are designed to do, especially the market-based tools, are help you beat the closing lines. You see a line about to move, for example, on a sharp book, you can expect the other books will move it. So really cool approach to betting. And it really has been working for years on the sharp report, just following the sharps. No one has that information outside of the sharp app. That is exclusive and does not exist anywhere outside the sharp app in terms of the sharp report and what you get with that. With that being said, yeah, it's a tough game in terms of, listen, I think that on the DFS side, Josh Allen is always in play every single week. So that's it. He puts up big numbers. The people you stack him with are really, really cheap. You want to hear an interesting, weird thing that happened this week, John?
What's up?
I know you're not a big FanDuel guy, but FanDuel just made a mistake and accidentally priced Dalton Kincaid at 4K. And it's just like somebody mistyped something over there, and then they left it. So you're getting Stoneman, Dalton Kincaid, and you can actually afford Allen to Kincaid stacks. They're cheap.
That always annoys me.
You don't like the. You don't like the.
I hate it.
Yeah, because then what do? Do you play it? Do you not?
Yeah, because
it's
just. I hate when you're forced to play something. Like, I just don't like that.
I don't mind it. Like, I feel like we're forced to play Tyreek Hill this week, and what are you going to do?
Yeah, I hate all that stuff. It annoys me.
Yeah,
I like the prices just be as tight as possible.
You know, it was my favorite week ever on FanDuel when Taysom Hill was named quarterback, and you could play him as a tight end. And the fact that only 40% of the field actually did it, that was the best part. Like, if there was ever the field should be 100% on someone game, that was it. And only 40% did it. Sometimes it's not chalky enough.
It's rare. It's rare.
Yeah, you know, that's unusual.
It's tough.
You're smiling because you faded that game too. I'm sure.
I didn't fade it. No, I had it, but I didn't have it as
not 100%.
As I should have.
There's no way you went 100%.
No.
Yeah. Where were we? Carolina. Yeah. Carolina Panthers at the Broncos. The Broncos are 11-point home favorites in this one. Everybody excited. Bo Nix, the chalk this week, John. The chalk. The highest owned QB on DraftKings as of right now is supposed to be Bo Nix. What is going on out there? Panthers going back to Bryce Young, probably just for this one game. Bryce Young has been terrible. I don't really know how to deal with that situation. No Deontay Johnson on the Panthers. This is a gross one. When a bad offense goes out to see a great defensive team, I think it could get ugly in a hurry. I don't know, man. 11 points. Can you lay 11 on a team like the Broncos?
Yeah, you're definitely not laying the 11 here. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad situation for Carolina. My numbers like Carolina. I think it's tough to take them with all that's going on. I mean, the upside is, Bryce Young, maybe a little bit less pressure on him now. Like, hey, I've hit rock bottom. I really have nothing to lose. I'm just going to come out here and play well. So I think that's the hope that you have on the Carolina side. This Denver defense has been fantastic. I think the Denver team on the whole is really a better team than we maybe anticipated coming into the season. You mentioned Knicks. I think Knicks has looked, fairly good for a rookie quarterback. They're going to be there at the end of the year. They're certainly not going to lose this game. This is this is probably my favorite game as far as survivor pools go, with Denver. Not a lot of future value. Yeah, my numbers are telling me Carolina. I think I'm just going to probably pass on the game though, because of the uncertainty here.
Yeah, makes sense. I do want to mention, on DFS angles, there's nothing on Carolina. Just stay the hell away from that disaster. But, if Bo Nix is going to be the chalk, interesting. I don't mind playing Bo Nix, but really, in order to make it work, you've got to stack him right. And he's got Troy Franklin there. There's Devon Valley, Cortland Sutton, and it's really no one else. Like, they haven't really threatened with the tight end all that much this year. So I think you're playing Knicks with two of those guys. Close your eyes, stack them up in tournaments. And that's how you'll get unique, because I don't think most people will double stack someone like Knicks. They'll probably just play him with one of those guys and hope he runs for touchdowns, which I get. Or even, I don't even mind the idea of stacking up Knicks with one of those guys and Javonte Williams. Some unusual stack that makes it different, considering he's going to be as high owned as he is. But I do like paying down at quarterback this week when I can. And Knicks is one of them. Again, he didn't pop for me in my initial slate breakdown, because feels a little bit more like a running, like a Javonte Williams kind of a situation, or Bears or Broncos defense situation for me. But I generally am going to say that if Knicks is going to be 14% owned, it's probably not the best tournament play. Might want to just not do that, just because he's high owned. All right, couple games left here on the Sunday main slate. We got the Chiefs at the Raiders. Raiders at home, 8-point.
Yep.
Home underdogs, the Raiders. They tried to switch to Aiden O'Connell. No, it was not to be. O'Connell gets hurt. We got Gardner Minshew back here for this one. I think we'll get Jacoby Myers back for the Raiders. Raiders offense has not looked very good. They traded away Devontae Adams, obviously, so it's getting gross over there. On the Chiefs side, the debut of DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see how that goes. You know what, John? It's almost like they listened to the first look video I put out this week, where I made a whole rant, and this was Monday/Tuesday morning, where I made a whole rant about how all the other teams that needed a wide receiver went out and got one. And the Chiefs are sitting back just like, we don't care. We don't give a shit. Mahomes is so good. He doesn't even need wide receivers. He can get it done with Mecole can't catch, Mecole hard hands, and freaking and a bunch of ne'er-do-wells that can't catch a pass. But now they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, nuke. And, they stepped up like a few hours after we made that video. So I don't know if they were listening, but if they were, great stuff. Do the Chiefs cover -8 here? That's the first question. I like this spot for Kareem Hunt as well, by the way, on the Chiefs side. But can the Chiefs cover this -8?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And as far as the total here, it's pretty low at 41.5, which, and is Mahomes even a viable play? How do you see this one going down?
I mean, Mahomes has not been a viable play pretty much most of the season, right? Has he? I think
he hasn't cracked 20 points yet.
I don't think he's thrown a touchdown in October.
Yeah, he's just again, not great wide receivers, but they've been running the football. The Chiefs have been winning with defense and just kind of, I don't know, smoke and mirrors. I don't really know.
Defense has been elite.
Yeah,
that's really been carrying him over the edge. And you still have Mahomes is still Mahomes. He's just not putting up ridiculous numbers. But when you're in close, tight games and you've got a quarterback of his caliber, that's what's really winning them the games right now. I think this game, though, I do think they cover here. So I think we can. I think they'll.
You're comfortable laying the 8 here.
I'm comfortable laying the 8 points or 8.5. Is it really a home game for Vegas? They
No.
Playing part of playing in Vegas is a lot. They've been getting a lot of road teams, especially when they're how bad.
I mean,
Vegas
the Chiefs are kind of America's team at this point. Like if you're just a random person from Nebraska or, you know, from some state where you don't have a team that you're obsessed with, you know, the same way that people used to latch on to the Cowboys when they were winning Super Bowls in the 90s or whatever, you know, people are on the Chiefs now. Like they keep winning Super Bowls. So your average fan is a fan of the Chiefs. Plus T-Swizz is there. So you have all the ladies interested in the Chiefs. All of a sudden you're out in Vegas with your girlfriend and she wants to see the Chiefs because Taylor's going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually true. And the Chiefs, they do have a big fan base and they will travel to Vegas. I mean, almost every team that Vegas play. You saw they had Pittsburgh out there, right? I think they had I think it was a Pittsburgh game out there.
Not much of a home field event, and they won't ever have, you know, the Raiders.
Well, they will. When they're good, they'll be good. But part of the, you know, it's part of the thing they're talking about. I've been saying for years they should move the Rays to Orlando, basically for that same thing, because you get so many tourists that people plan their vacation around when their team is playing in that city. So and they're actually, with the storm that we had there, they do need a place to play next year, and that is one of the options.
Did their stadium get flooded out?
The roof blew off. So they are probably going to, I think they're going to play at Disney, which is where I've said they should be playing all along. Anyway, they fit like 35,000 there at the Disney Stadium. So my guess is they'll be playing there, and I think they'll do well. They'll draw better than they do. Can't draw worse than they do here, so that's for sure. But
you're so right. By the way, Tampa is not. It's, you know, they're not filling the stadium, and you have Orlando with millions of tourists coming through.
Well,
and
the thing is, you're right smack dab in the middle of the state, so you could draw from both coasts of the state. Plus, you've got all the tourists who are there. There's no, you know, I mean, you get tourists who come to this area as well, but not nearly what it is at Disney. So
when I go on tour to Tampa, I'm going to the beach. All right. When I go to Orlando, I'm looking for events to go to. I'm going.
You need stuff to do with the kids, so you're going to go to a baseball game.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. But I don't know. We went way off topic here. We like the
give me the Chiefs laying the points. I do think this will be a much better game here for Mahomes. I don't know how DFS worthy it is.
There's nothing DFS. The only DFS pieces in this game, I at the very end of the week. Listen, Brock Bowers coming off 14 targets. He is playable.
It's the one spot. It's the one spot that Kansas City's not been great is defending against the tight end. So
I like Kareem Hunt in this game, because the reason that Mahomes has not been smashing is because the team is not scared to lean on the run this year. Well, Hunt has not had below 20 touches in the last 2 weeks. In the games where they just said, let's just rock with Kareem, he's getting 25, 27. They don't even give a shit. They'll run him out there as much as they can. They don't care if he gets hurt. They got Pacheco coming back. They don't have any reason to like hold back on his touches, and they are showing it. So I like Hunt. I have a ton of Hunt. Maybe too much Hunt. How do you feel about Hunt? Maybe I have too much Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of good spots here for running back this week, but I agree with you
a lot of them
on Hunt. So
yeah,
there are a lot of big spread games. There's some good spots.
What about Hopkins in his first game?
You just don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You definitely don't know.
I don't. Again, do you throw him out? Does it become a situation like you saw with Adams, where they kind of use him more in a decoy role,
or is it Amari Cooper, where it only took 13 touches last week for him to put up 2 touchdowns?
I think if I had to guess, I would say they're going to use him quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to lean that DeAndre Hopkins is a sneaky good GPP play for the exact reasons we're talking about. Everybody already play him next week, but if he gets it done this week, you're getting it at 1 or 2% ownership, which is pretty fun. All right, I want you to look at this line, John, and tell me if you could predict what this means for Jaden Daniels. So the Bears are on the road here as 2-point favorites at the Commanders. We don't know if Daniels is going to play.
Yeah, this is a no Daniels line.
This is a no Daniels line. This is making my lineup construction difficult today. If there's no Daniels, I really, really like Bears defense. I think that Mariota stinks. And I love that he didn't look terrible last week, because his stinkitude will shine through at low defense ownership for the Bears because people will think he's a competent player, which he isn't. So if Jaden Daniels is playing or not is a huge thing. I would have loved to have seen the head-to-head between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels here as well, just because they're the rookie quarterbacks that both look spectacular, and it would make it create some hype. But you think this +2 tells you he's probably, if you hear tomorrow that Jaden is playing, are you running to bet this at +2?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because this line is going to move. If Daniels is playing, this is a one. We were looking at this game being like 1.5, like Washington, like a 1.5 point favorite. Definitely a favorite here. I mean, Washington. I think Washington's played better than Chicago this year, so I see no reason they wouldn't be favored in this game. With all that said, though, I do like the Bears here without Daniels. I don't know if they're actually pricing it enough. I think the drop off to Mariota is more than you. Typically, what they do is they kind of overdo it. I don't think they've done it enough here. I don't think they're giving enough points to the Bears.
This is what I'm saying. Mariota coming out looking okay last week has skewed things to where people are not like that. We're almost assuming that he doesn't suck. Mariota sucks. He's been around. This is a known quantity. He's not very good. Can hand it off, but it's not like Washington has like this dominant running game, and more so, Bears defense is actually good. They're very, very good. They're one of the better units. So I just think, I think it's an underreaction because he looked better than he probably actually is last week. I totally agree, and you basically brought around to the same concepts. With that being said, there's some exciting. So we're on the bet. You'd be on the Bears -2.
Yeah, I'm on the Bears in this game for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think that might change though if Jaden Daniels plays. So if that comes out, if you take the Bears now and then you find out Jaden's playing, you run. Grab the +2 on the Commanders before that changes, and then you'll, I guess, be hedged. But DFS angles, I think Caleb Williams is playable here. Certainly Bears defense and DeAndre Swift is playable as well. One of the hardest times I'm having is how to stack Caleb. It's difficult. All three of the wide receivers are getting looks, and the tight end is really also a fantasy producer. So between Kmet, DJ Moore, and Odunze and Keenan Allen, it's not the easiest to figure out which one or two of those to pair up. I genuinely think a lot of the other ones will just be terrible. That's how the Bears have been this year. A couple guys might pop, but the rest are terrible. So a little tricky one for DFS purposes. I ran a Caleb naked lineup out at my first look. Little gone streaking naked. I just paired him up with I just said, you know what? I'm not going to take a chance on it. I'll play with Tyreek Hill and all the value, and I'll just put Caleb in there and figure he'll get it done somehow. All right, moving on to the night game and sort of the end of the slate here. We got 2 games left, John. We'll rapid fire these two. Cowboys at the 49ers. 49ers -3.5. They're at home. I'm thinking Debo will play in this game. I kind of think he'll play. So, but of course, without Ayuk, and then the Cowboys just need to bounce back from their terribleness. Maybe can they be better on the road? Maybe the Cowboys would be better on the road without Jerry Jones looming down on them, looking disapprovingly on them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to pass on. I just don't like this game at all. I think both of these teams are kind of struggling. San Francisco's last place right now in the West. So not a spot we thought we'd see them. They've been banged up all year. I get it. Dallas, obviously, a ton of issues. I'm kind of staying away from. I think both teams are better than what they've shown, and I just don't have a good feel for either side on this one. I don't think we have anything on the sharp side. Now, nothing on the sharp report on this one either. I'm staying clear.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's a weird one. You'd want to go San Francisco here, but man, can Dallas keep looking as bad as they've looked? I feel like they're exactly the same team as last year, but somehow the performance is so different. Why? Why? What's going on? Was it smoke and mirrors last year? I don't know. Yeah, let me see the total on that one. Yeah, 47. Interesting. Last game of the slate, we got the Giants at the Steelers. Steelers 5.5-point home favorites. Giants in the full implosion mode. Danny Dimes dead to me. Danny dead to me Dimes at this point. Fuck those guys. Terrible. But, Steelers coming off that win. Russell Wilson genuinely looked pretty good. I have to say, Russell Wilson looked slim, slender, spry out there like a youngster. He looked vintage Russell Wilson to me last week. Now you got the Steelers 5.5-point home favorites here. I think the Steelers defense alone gets them a 5.5-point win.
Yeah, I mean, Steelers defense has looked good. I'm going to this kind of plays in again. I kind of like taking these teams that are, on a couple of game slide look really bad. That's the Giants in this spot. You can typically get a little bit of value. So I'm gonna take the Giants plus the 6. This is a spot that I like to take. Teams that kind of coming off that blowout loss against the spread. Look for the bounce back. I think the Giants bounce back here. Keep it close.
Crazy. That would be we'll have an interesting Monday night showdown on that one for sure to discuss. All right, that's going to do it, John, for the Game Plan NFL Week 8. Remember, if you want John's picks, official picks every single day and week, if you want access to the best, fastest live odds screen in the business, the Proptimizer tool, 7 or 8 different prop sites, including Flip, which is a great sort of sweepstakes / book that is in every state, as far as I can tell, or most of the states available. And of course, our AI predictions, pregame predictions, everything you need as a sports bettor, track bets, and a wonderful community in the Sharp app Discord, where you can get coaching from some sharp bettors to show you how these tools work and how to use them and how to up your betting game and bet like a sharp, how to beat the closing line. That's what the sharps do. Check out sharp.app, promo code DFSA 2025, 25% off. So make sure to check that out. John, I will see you next time on another Game Plan. Take care, everybody.